Hello and welcome, fellow yarn lovers. Welcome to another episode of Workshop Diaries. Today we're going to make some yarn ready for the shop. I'm Gitte. I'm a yarn lover. I love yarn and everything to do with yarn. I'm also a crafter. I love working with my hands, making things. And I'm the owner of Run Your Craft, a little online shop where I sell the things I make. I only make things that fits in my yarn universe. I'm an indie dyer. I dye yarn. And the yarn we're going to prepare today for the shop is a DK yarn. It's very lovely and very soft. It's 75% merino wool and 25% polyamide. I was inspired by the song from the 80s by Shakespeare's sister called Stay. I'll link it below so you can listen to it. It's quite lovely. It's not just the colors in the song, but it's the mood that inspires me. I find it quite easy to translate moods from songs into yarn, the mood that I pick up on. Here I'm making the samples, a knitting sample and a crochet sample. I do that for all my yarn. I take pictures of it for the homepage so you can see how it looks knit up and crocheted. And I take the samples with me to markets. I can see and hear that people really do enjoy touching and seeing what it looks like knit up and crocheted up. And I appreciate it as well when I go yarn shopping, that I can see what is it going to look like. I know there's something about how many stitches and how tight your gauge is and what needle you use and so on, but it still gives you an idea. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm making a knitting sample of the new yarn. The fiber content of this yarn makes it quite good for sock knitting. It's the polyamide that makes it strong. If you don't have anything to strengthen the yarn, it's not that suited for sock knitting, but this is. The 25% polyamide in this yarn makes it strong enough. Personally, I think you shouldn't go below 20% of something like polyamide or nylon. All you need to do, as I do sometimes, I have a strengthening thread. I'm not sure what it's called in English, but I can buy it in Denmark, and it's used for strengthening at the heel and the toe when I knit my socks. And I do knit a lot of socks. Not as many as the crazy sock lady. I think she knits about 50 pairs a year. I'm not at that level, but I do knit socks. I always have my bag with socks with me wherever I go. Right now I'm working on a pair of scrap socks. That was something I learned from my grandmother. She was a young lady during the war, the Second World War, and she couldn't get anything. Nothing was available, so they learned that they needed to use everything. Nothing must be wasted. And as a child, I was a child in the 70s, so it was under the oil crisis. We didn't have anything. Everything was expensive. And she knitted socks for us of scraps. And we just loved them. We loved them to pieces. It was marvelous. And now I knit socks, and I still knit the scrap socks merely for myself, but I do love wearing them. No two are alike. It's every scrap I can find, and then I strengthen them in the heel and the toe. I do have a large family, and I knit socks for almost all of them. I have a bunch of sisters who has children, and some of them even have children. And they all love home knitted socks. It's not all of them that's knitted in hand-dyed yarn. My son, for example, is a fisherman, and he wears them out. So he gets socks from commercial yarn, and I strengthen them as well. And well, as you can imagine, it's hard to be a sock when you have 8 to 10 hours in a pair of willies. The last pair I made was for my niece's son. He's in his teens now, so he's going quite big. But he still loves his knitted socks. So of course I knitted him a pair. And we are so many in my family, my mother can't keep up. So I try to assist. And as I said, I have my sock knitting with me everywhere. It's a nice small project to be bringing along. I have my small bag that fits my sock knitting. I think it's more unhandy having my sweater knitting or my blankets or with me, because they grow quite big, those projects. So I love my sock knitting, and I bring them everywhere then when I think I'm going to wait or if I'm going to talk. So it's also to when I go to coffee at my sister's or at my son, I bring my knitting. But also at work, I always have my sock knitting with me at work. I'm a teacher, and we have long meetings in the afternoons, and I've told my boss that there is evidence of people listening more carefully when they knit. And then he allows me to knit at meetings because he knows I will be listening more carefully to what everybody says. But still, I'm not at the level as Kay from the Crazy Sock Lady. 50 pairs a year, that's a lot. I'm not sure. I have never counted how many pairs I make a year. But it is a few. And as I said, this yarn has the fiber content can be used for sock knitting. It's a DK, so they'll be quite warm and thick depending on the needle size. And I do love the color. As I have a market here in February, well, when you see this video, I've already went. I'm preparing this yarn to be used at the market as well, and that means I need to price it. It's my experience that people don't like to ask what things cost at the market. So I put a very big and clear price mark on every skein of yarn. And then I tie the price mark on with a bow. And that's what I'm measuring out here. And you will see later that I'm going to put on a barcode. I have a barcode system, a POS system, so I don't need to close out my homepage. And I can check the products in and out using the barcode. But for it to work, I need to put on the barcode. You just saw me print it, and later you're going to see me put it on. Oh yeah, to make the ribbon steady so it won't thrill or frog, I just melt the ends, and I use the candle for that. And you can see I have the small samples by the side there. I'm going to put a label on them as well. I have been blessed with orders these last couple of months. Thank you so much if you bought anything from me at market or on my homepage or at Etsy. I'm really happy. I'm blessed. And you're gorgeous. But that also means that my inventory is a bit low, so I needed to fill it up a bit before I went to the next market. And I had a lovely, lovely market here in the start of February, and it was in Horsens at the prison. It's not a working prison, it's an old prison that now is a museum, and it's a lovely place with a nice atmosphere. And we had a market there, and it was fantastic. I had the most lovely neighbors who also had stands. Another indie dyer actually, and that was fantastic. We had some nice talks. We had a lot in common, let's say it that way. She goes to many more markets than I, but she doesn't have a homepage, so I could tell her a bit about that, how it was having a homepage and how to build it and where to go, and she could tell me about a few markets that she could recommend, and that was lovely. And she was such a lovely lady. I also had a neighbor, a beautiful woman who worked with ceramics. Lovely things she had, lovely things. And a young girl who had her paintings with her and actually sat down and painted at the market. And so many people came, I have to say, so many people. And they were so nice. And they actually bought a lot as well, but they were so nice. I had so many good talks and so many nice conversations with people about yarn and the love of crafting. I enjoyed it so much. Unfortunately, my sister became ill. She was meant to go with me. We usually go together when we go to market, but she got the flu and she had to be under the covers at home. It was such a good market that they made another market in the fall, and my sister and I already signed up. So I'm looking forward to that. Through the last couple of months, as orders were coming in, I filmed some of them. Not all of them, but some of them. And I actually made some packing orders with me videos. I'm trying that out to see if it's something you like. And I've put a few out, so if you're interested, you can find them on my channel. I actually priced these skeins a bit low. I found out it was okay. It's nice to have some yarn that's not rocket high in the prices, but I think eventually when I come around to it, I'm going to price these a bit up. Right now they were at 55 Danish krones. It's about, let's see, it's about €7.50, so it's quite cheap. Even though it's only 50 grams a skein, it is a bit cheap. I always find it difficult pricing my products right. If you have a small business, how do you price it? Please comment below. And this is where I put on the barcodes for my POS system. These are the labels for my small samples. The small samples that I put in every bag I give to my customers at markets, and I always put a sample in every box I sent out to people if they order from me. I think it's a nice way to do a bit of promotion for my yarn, and I hope that people feel that they get a little gift. That's the sense I would like to give them. So these are the yarn samples that I am making for this colorway stay, and it has a QR code to the homepage on one side with my logo, and on the other side they have the description of the yarn, the fiber content, the weight, how many meters per gram, and so on. Actually, it's the same labels that I put on the yarn. I just printed extra, so it's not that much work to do it. And again, I just tied on the tiny skein with a small bow. I wouldn't call it a mini, I would call it a tiny because it's only 5 grams. About the size of a finger, a little finger perhaps. just the last one, and then they're ready for the bags and the packaging. And then of course I also put the label on the crochet sample and the knitting sample. I usually make a granny square for the crochet sample. I think they're quite cute, so, and people can see how the color pulling will be. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I have enjoyed making it, so if you have enjoyed seeing it, everybody's happy. So thank you so much. It's been nice spending time with you. Hope you'll be back. And please do like and subscribe this video. It helps the channel be noticed by even more. See you next time. Bye.